Biden's not getting any younger. He's not going to get any more popular, and he's not getting a new running mate. So please, Mr. President, give America the ultimate Christmas gift and step aside.
Now, I ain't gonna tell you again. Can't go to church.
That church will be there next week. I ain't no hurry.
So you'd vote for Biden again?
I'm not saying either or.
So you are going to vote for Joe Biden?
I think it's simple and plain. Like, if you...
What's up, everybody? This is Mike. Today we're going to look at this video coming from CNN, the Communist News Network. This video is about Angela Rye basically dragging Charlamagne the God around the chitlin circuit to make sure he's in his place and they slap him back in his place. You have two alpha women. Angela Rye for sure is an alpha female. Phillip, I know she's been working her way up the ranks. She's a pretty strong journalist, if you want to call her that. But either which way, Charlamagne the God, when I see him on this interview with Angela Rye and Phillip, in addition to also making their rounds to the other chitlin circuit, one of the destinations on the Readout, Joy Reid's show, he's pivoting, he's capitulating, and for me, he's actually a huge embarrassment. And I wish when we look at these people who we turn to as some of the black community, why we actually look to these people for their opinion and for direction when it comes to our politics. Let's get into the video. Roll the clip.
Ask you, Charlamagne, I mean, you made some waves in a recent interview saying that you regret endorsing Joe Biden. Why?
It's not that I regret endorsing Joe Biden. It's just that, I think that we all can get burned, by politicians. Because when I say endorsing, I put my name and my reputation on the line with my listeners. And when my listeners...
Look at her face. She's paying close attention to this man. He's already capitulating. He's already going back on what he said on multiple platforms. It's not that I regret endorsing Joe Biden. Well, what exactly is it?
Feel like he didn't deliver. They come back to me and they say, hey, man, you're the one who told us to vote for, Joe Biden. You're the one who told us to vote for Kamala Harris. So, I care about my listeners and what my listeners think. But I do want to say that, I think President Biden historically has been a lack of a better word, a shitty elected official. But, Donald Trump is the end of democracy as we know it.
So you'd vote for Biden?
Oh, man, he said it straight in their faces. Which is great. It's good he actually said this in their faces. Two sisters flanking you. He looks like a little schoolboy. Like he has to explain why he didn't do his homework.
I'm not saying either or, but I think, since y'all ask answers, because that's what y'all do on CNN. You like to ask answers, like you ask. What I say is you asked if Donald Trump was black, would he get locked up? You know the answer to that.
But I mean,
right?
I don't know the... So you are going to vote for Joe Biden?
I think it's simple and plain. Like, if you, Donald Trump is the end of democracy as we know it. I don't know what to tell people. And I know it sounds, when you say that now in 2024, you've heard it so much because every time, there's a Republican candidate, people say, oh, it's the end of democracy. He's the, people go so far as to say, oh, he's the Antichrist. But this is one of those times where, it really actually positively is true.
So, Angela, what he's saying...
I can't believe this brother would get on CNN, but it doesn't surprise me. We've seen the people of melanin go on this show and capitulate, backtrack, pivot. When you go on this show, for whatever reason, there seems to be a common narrative. I'm surprised by this because, generally speaking, when I was looking at news, I used to really turn to CNN for actual information, and it just seems the platform has changed and evolved over the years, and now obviously hasn't evolved for the better. It's actually devolved. There's some type of regression CNN has gone into, whether or not it's to please the stake or shareholders. I don't know exactly what it is, but the fact of the matter is you have an independent thinking black guy who still I don't understand based on the current trends. The Me Too movement, I don't even know where this guy has a platform. Frankly speaking, I don't know when Charlamagne the God became the guy we were supposed to go to as black people, as this purveyor of information. This guy, if we're going by today's logic and today's standard, by the Trump standard, E. Jean Carroll 25, 30 years ago. Charlamagne the God, actual police report filed. Police on the scene. Two victims that have come up, testified, who gave testimony against this guy. Why is it this guy isn't in jail?
This is where Charlamagne gave Malika and I the drinks. He himself made those drinks. I'm being pressured into drinking by someone who I thought I could trust. I let my guards down. And I said, you know what? This is my friend. He won't let anything happen to me. And he betrayed me. He allowed his friends or cousins or whoever those guys were to take advantage of me, and he himself took advantage of me as well.
Ariel, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. I got this girl real drunk, and we fought.
That sentence sounds a little fishy. I got her drunk.
I didn't just get her drunk. I remember I went to the sex store and got Spanish Fly.
Oh, so you raped her?
Shut up. Spanish Fly. They sell it in the sex store. I'm telling the truth. They sell it in the Spanish store. I had the fucking. They
sell knives at the store too. You could put that to a girl's throat and have sex with it. That doesn't mean it's illegal.
So I put the Spanish Fly in the E&J. We drinking the E&J and shit. So in my mind, I don't know if this shit really worked, but I felt like I got horny as a motherfucker too. Right? So she was drunk as shit, and we had sex and shit, and like a lot of my boys was trying to come in the room and fuck her. I'm like, nah, chill out. I can't. I'm not doing that. I'm not gonna let you run the train on it. That's rape. The next morning she wakes up, and we talk about it. And she's like, what happened? I'm like, oh, we had sex. Then a couple days later, she's like, yo, are you sure I only had sex with you? Because one of my stupid ass cousins was going around saying he fucked her, which he didn't. I know for a fact he didn't. Okay. I was there the whole time. Yeah.
How is it when Trump does things like this or is accused, even through hearsay, he's on the hook for $85, $88, $90 million based on today's standard, especially when it comes to black women? I thought we were supposed to believe the black queens. But I think the black queens have told so many lies. You have the brick lady. You have the woman that faked her own kidnapping on the side of the road. You have the Duke girl. So when sisters actually have credible stories, nobody believes them. By today's measure, by today's standard, how is Charlamagne the God the mouthpiece of black people? He doesn't speak for me. I don't go calling Charlamagne the God donkey of the day. Hey, Charlamagne, who are you voting for this year, my man? Who listens to people like this? And again, one more time, not to keep hammering the point home, why does this guy have a platform when we have two people who have said this man, and also a police report? You can look it up online. Find the police report yourself. I've done the homework. How is this guy able to make the rounds, host the Tonight Show, The Daily Show, Jon Stewart formerly, Trevor Noah formerly? He's making his rounds. People accept his word as truth. He's written books. His cohort, DJ Envy, he's in bed with some people that are known for doing real estate scams. This guy's known for contributing to the delinquency of a minor, yet they have a platform, and this is what you get in the black community.
Do you see that being understood by the Biden campaign? Are they taking that seriously?
I think that there are folks in the campaign. I think there are folks in the White House. There are folks in the VP's office that certainly understand and have stressed these points to them ad nauseum. I think Madam Vice President understands. I think that what the real test will be what they do with that understanding, right? I think Leonard is absolutely right. It's hard to get people to do something that they already were very reluctant about doing. Don't forget they were overcoming a pandemic like the rest of us, overcoming George Floyd's death and murder for 9 minutes and 30 seconds on camera. There was a lot that folks had to overcome to get there. And so when you have to sacrifice so much, the least you can do is meet us in our sacrifice. And I think that's really what he's saying. It sounds like a reluctant endorsement you got out of him.
It does sound that way.
But
he's just basically getting lectured by two sisters on national television. And he's like, I always vote for democracy. Whatever that means. By the way, Charlamagne, if you haven't looked up, my man, do you look at us as black people when we go on national platforms. Why can't we not use this man's real name? This dude's name is Leonard or something like that. This is almost a 50-year-old man. If you look at black people across the board, and when I say black people, I'm talking about some subculture. Snoop Dogg might endorse Trump. Snoop Dogg, not Calvin Broadus, not Leonard McKelvey, is Charlamagne the God. Black people, when we get on mainstream networks and we're trying to be taken seriously, we're going on as characters. It's just a never-ending story with us. We just can't get out of our characters. And I just don't, I just, it's just crazy when I look at these people really trying to have a voice, a serious voice, have a serious seat at the table. This guy is here. He's had redemption. And he wants to be presented still as Charlamagne the God.
The vice president, she just mentioned Vice President Harris. You've also kind of pulled back from that endorsement as well. What specifically do you see her not doing right?
Well, when I said that about her disappearing, it wasn't even about her, what she's done as vice president, the duties of a vice president. It was about, how she would interact with people who supported her, And I think that even when I say disappear, I'm talking about the person that I spoke to in 2020. When I speak to her, it didn't seem like, she was as much of a politician as she seems to be now.
Have you ever smoked?
I have.
Okay. Like in
And
college,
I inhaled. I did inhale.
Okay.
It was a long time ago. But yes.
I know you have to go. They say you have to go. I just wanted to
I
ask.
just broke loose.
I mean, was it in college? See, I like stuff like that. That's a real honest answer.
Real.
Was it a blunt or joint?
It was a joint.
Hey.
Yeah.
You remember the high?
I do.
Your truancy program got a lot of criticism, too. Did you actually lock anybody up?
No, we never locked anybody up.
So you didn't lock up parents when their kids didn't go to school? I'm just trying to clear up all the BS.
Yeah, no.
And, they kind of keep her in the tuck, and they don't let her be who she is willing to be. But I think at a time like this, man, if we're having these serious conversations about, democracy being on the line, I think that all of us should realize the language of politics is dead. And I think, new normals call for new things. So I think now's not the time for her to, be a politician.
You
now
think it's a communication issue that she
Democrats suck at messaging.
So I guess what he's talking about is when Kamala Harris went to the Breakfast Club in 2020, when she was talking about listening to Tupac and Snoop Dogg while smoking a joint in university. Somehow this is talking to the people in a real way. And now that she's actually made it to the highest level in political office, now he's like, she's not good in messaging. Well, fool, she has to be a professional. She can't campaign across the country talking about Snoop Dogg in the college days smoking reefer and getting high and shit, my man. My boy, you're a little out of touch.
Like, the Democrats suck at messaging. Like, it's not like Joe Biden and Kamala Harris haven't done a lot of great things. They just don't know how to message it to the American people.
Who is a politician that you could support that for the presidency, a new age politician, in your words?
Does it matter if our only choices right now are Biden and Trump?
It
does.
It does. I mean, I'm
Paint a world.
curious about,
Reimagine a world.
what do you see out there? Do you see anybody fulfilling what you think needs to be done at that level?
No, not in a little bit, because like I said, the language of politics is dead, and I think that's one thing Trump did do. Like, Trump made it to where you could speak truth to power if you want to, but I think that a lot of folks choose not to. Like, nobody's stupid. Like, we're all sitting.
Definitely wasn't truth he was speaking.
I'm not gonna say it was truth, but it's truthful to the people that he's speaking to. Like, whenever you can get on, if you can get on TV and you can say, hey, I'm gonna be a dictator on day one.
Do you see Angela Rye's face? Do you see they're trying to keep my man in check? They gave him a little bit of leash. They made him a little bit more comfortable, and he's still pulling a little at that leash. They gave him about 3 feet of leash. He's going for 4, 5, 6 feet of leash. She's making faces. People have lost their sense of humor in America. I've watched Donald Trump go from somebody who I've seen has always been put into the spotlight, from Larry King, heralded as somebody to strive for, to admire, kind of the true American dream. You have to understand, Donald Trump is almost 80. This man is born basically around World War II. His mindset is not the same as somebody born in 2000 or 1990. So there's a huge generational gap. And this is why maybe we need to get our politicians across the board younger, term limits. Because as he says, the old messaging or the language of politics is dead. Well, what exactly do you want? Because politics is politics, but you can't have people fighting for the highest position in the country, in the land, in the most powerful country in the world, thinking everybody's going to look like the average Joe Schmo, run-of-the-mill, punching the clock, 9-to-5 person. It's just not possible. And for what it's worth, although Donald Trump was not that and has never been that, at least he has some connection to the workers. This man has built, whether you like it or not, a small empire. He revitalized New York at some point, and whether or not you agree with his position on the birther issue, the Central Park Five, whatever that is, people are writing revisionist history while we're tearing down statues and condemning a president that won a huge majority of Obama voters. So can you square one with the other? You can't call Trump voters deplorables when maybe 30, 40, 50% of his voter base were Obama supporters. That has no logic. And when you talk to the country like this is why Democrats find themselves in this position, in my opinion.
The hard thing about going back to Kamala Harris, Madam Vice President, we say a lot of this, they won't let her. And I take issue with the language, right? I think that she does need to be empowered, and she has that power to walk in that power. She has owned and requested a lot of what is in her portfolio. I think what is unfortunate is the way that she sounds the alarm. A lot of the folks on her team sound the alarm. It is not being echoed by folks in the White House.
What's the point of sounding the alarm behind the scenes? Like, if we're talking about
all been behind the scenes, like even today, right? Her being in Atlanta, talking to voters, talking to folks that run voting rights organizations, talking to a base that they need, that
but
they
don't you think
rely
they should have
on.
been doing that for months?
When you say, I mean, to
why wait for President Barack Obama to come out to light a fire under the campaign? And for y'all to, go out there and start doing things. And then, when it comes to President Biden, the first thing you do is go to a beautiful black church, Emmanuel AME, in my birthplace, Charleston, South Carolina, and then go to the soul food spot, Hannibal's Restaurant. Like, that is the thing that Democrats have been doing for years. Like, that's not effective anymore. Just showing up to a black church and then going to a soul food restaurant.
If the election were...
Man, so you see, they try to keep him in check, and he took about 3 more feet of leash. And this is where I can actually respect Charlamagne. Leonard, for me, I feel like in certain parts of this segment of this interview, he got right, because there's a lot of truth in this interview. But what I hate about it is he's backtracking and capitulating, and he should stand on it. If he really believes Joe Biden sucks, stand on it. But don't talk about Donald Trump is going to be somehow the end of the democracy. Leonard, I have to tell you one more time, my boy, your democracy was stolen a long, long, long time ago. We got a 2-candidate party. We have a uniparty. So when we get a third party candidate, there's a lot of condemnation. We destroyed Bernie Sanders, even though it probably should have been Bernie Trump in 2016. But that didn't happen because the establishment is obviously corrupt. There's 3 things my grandmother taught me. You don't talk about your salary, you don't talk about politics, and you don't talk about religion. And what I'm starting to see form on the progressive liberal side is that, especially when it comes to black people, that they're going on these shows, these huge platforms. For instance, if we take a Bill Maher, where he's basically asking Killer Mike, who is he going to vote for? You see, in this particular interview, who are you going to vote for? In general, I don't believe any president in my lifetime has changed my life for the better or worse. It's just kind of what have you. I voted for Hillary Clinton, which I did not want to, but I did this at the request of my ex-wife. I voted for Barack Obama because no way in hell I could believe somebody by the name of Barack Hussein Obama could even win anything in America, let alone a landslide, because that's how shitty Hillary Clinton was. I voted for Ross Perot. He didn't win. I voted for Bill Clinton. I voted for Bill Clinton once. I voted for Barack Obama once, because after all the magic was gone, after Bill Clinton stopped playing the saxophone and was getting a blowjob in the Oval Office, once Obama, all the blackness wore off and he bailed out the big banks and automobile manufacturing, I just gave up. I voted one time because in the end, I never saw any significant changes in my life when it pertained to any president. So in general, I don't have a lot of faith in American politics right now. I'm not saying Donald Trump is the end all to be all to where politics lie and will lie in the future when it comes to America and what his place will be in the world and his global position in the world. But I would say for right now, in this moment, Donald Trump 2024, I hate to talk about politics. I hate to talk about anybody I would personally endorse on a platform, especially like this, whoever might watch this video. But if we're talking country first, Donald Trump 2024, unfortunately, we destroyed Kanye West. We as black people, I think we're very timid when it comes to being individual thinkers. If we looked at Kanye West, the way black bourgeois class media presented Kanye was basically, if his mom was alive, he wouldn't be doing this. He's off his meds. He's a coon. He's a sellout. But if you fast forward now, 6 years later, now it's okay for black people to endorse Trump. Why is that? Why is it when one of us steps out of line, and I say we do this to ourselves, I don't know what we have, what phobias we have, why we can't be independent thinking people. And this is what I observed in this video with Charlamagne. He stepped out of line just a little, and he has to be put back in place. This is what I don't like about some of the characteristics of black people, how we think when we almost don't think independently unless somebody says it's cool to do so. So we slaughtered Kanye West. He's been sent out to pasture. We say he's off his meds. He's an absolute train wreck. He lost all endorsements, no more Yeezys, all this stuff. It doesn't really matter to me. But if I look at us as a black community as a whole, when one of us steps out of line, we're quick to label each other. Do Asians label each other? Do Indians label each other? Do Mexicans? Does a Latin community, white community, do they decimate and send one of their own out to pasture just to mock and make fun of, only to then 4 or 5 years later get on the same bandwagon this person was originally on? So if you look at black support across the board right now for Donald Trump, well, who did that? It was Kanye West. In my personal opinion, we're not free thinkers. We still aren't free thinking, and we're waiting for somebody, a celebrity, to come along and endorse a candidate so we can piggyback off of that. We're very lazy in our politics. We're not doing any homework. We're not doing any research, and we need to wean ourselves off of looking for caricatures for making our political decisions for us. So with that, I'll leave this video right here. This is Mike. Hope you enjoyed the commentary. See you on the next one. Peace.
Anytime you throw your weight behind a political party that controls 2/3 of the government, and that party can't keep the promise that it made to you during election time, and you're dumb enough to walk around continuing to identify yourself with that party, you're not only a chump, but you're a traitor to your race.